Hey gang, you know, ever since I made that frequently asked questions video, everyone has been asking me, what's up with that stereo behind me? So, let's get into it and see what's up with that stereo behind me. Come on! Alright, here we are in my art studio, which is also the Vital Vinyl production studio, looking at my stereo that we got here. Now, over there is part of the vinyl that composes Vital Vinyl and our every other daily countdown, count through of the records that make this show possible. But today, it's not about the records, it's about the system that plays them. So this is it, top to bottom. And let's walk through and see what we got piece by piece, shall we? We shall. So up top is an Audio Technica LP3 turntable. Currently spinning a little Star Trek II Wrath of Khan soundtrack. This is a pretty rockin' little turntable. I've heard that it's recommended to upgrade the stylus, which I might soon. I don't know, hopefully not have to do it soon, because I love the way the red looks, and I know the updated one is a green one. But maybe that'll be just in time for the holidays. And it could match the center label on this album, so I could just listen to this one album all the time. Wouldn't that be great? It actually would be, because it's a pretty little kick-ass album. Alright, so what I really wanted to go for here is a mid to late 70s to early 80s kind of aesthetic, which I know this turntable doesn't really fit with, but the black actually matches the black sides and base of these Advent Laureate speakers that I got. Somebody was pretty much just curbing them, and I picked them up, and they came with a different receiver for a different stereo that we'll get to in a few minutes. But yeah, so the only issue really that it had was the surrounds were rotted out, but I got a little surround repair kit from simplyspeakers.com, your home of Simply Speakers. Worst commercial ever, sorry. But they do make a pretty good kit, and I had never done this before, but I was able to do it pretty quickly and easily. Not the prettiest job, like you can see the big giant glue stain on the speaker in there, but it didn't affect the sound, and it actually sounds tons better. So yeah, it's got a couple of, I think like 6.5-inch woofers there and a little 1-inch tweeter, and yeah, for a little 11x9 art studio, that's kind of more than enough sound. And look, there's another one right there. What are the odds? All right, so there's everything else, and let's move on down to the CD player. This is a Sony CD player. I forget the exact model number. Let's see if we can see it on the inside there, shall we? We can't. Isn't that terrific? Oh wait, there it is over there. It is the DVP-S570D. Pretty cool. So I got this one because since the tape deck and receiver were 70s brushed aluminum style, I wanted a CD player that kind of had that same look too. So yeah, ended up with this little guy, and I've seen them on eBay for like around, I don't know, $30, and it's not plastic, it's pretty solid brushed aluminum, and it sounds amazing. And I've got a CD in there just for the purpose of this, since I was playing a Star Trek record, and since Kirstie Alley recently passed away, and that That sucks. But yeah, it's got a little display that says Star Trek, so yay, isn't that neato? I thought so too. It's got a remote, but I don't use it because, sticking with the whole analog of everything, let's keep it getting up and pushing buttons. All right. Underneath that is a Technics turntable from the year of our Lord 1977. The year that some say punk rock came out, so yay for that. I mean, I guess maybe kind of more mainstream punk, like Sex Pistols and Ramones, since like the Stooges could be considered a punk band, and they were way before that. But yeah, so this is the RS-630 tape deck, and this thing is pretty freaking groovy because it's got some stuff I had never seen before in a tape deck, including wobbly camera phone. But to open it, it doesn't just pop out. You slide this little door open. What? Pretty cool. Right. And if you stick your finger up there and push in the little tab to make it think it's recording something, and then you hit the record button, whatever you're listening to will kind of trigger in the meters. It's not doing it right now because I think we're at a quiet song on the soundtrack, so let's kind of skip around and get to another part. Drop the needle down. Look like a quiet part as well, so let's find a not so quiet part. And this is not really doing what I want it to, so alright. You know what, screw it, let's just kick it to the radio so you can see. Yeah, the needle start going because it's triggered by the record thing, so it thinks it's recording. So you can listen to like your records, you can listen to your CDs, you can listen to the radio, and the needles on the meters keep going, and so that's just a neat little thingy. Right. Alright, and even managed to find a little operating instructions book for the thing. So that's pretty cool. It's like going into the stereo shop and getting all the stuff that comes with it. Like it was sold to me by Buck Swope. Pretty cool. Get the TK421 upgrade, get yourself another 3-4 quads of power per channel, and you're good to go. Okay. Oh, so I did recently get this and got a tape from a buddy of mine, put it in, played it. Can't play any music because copyright. But I did play it and it sounded kind of muffled, so I'm going to have to get a head cleaner in there, and hopefully that will solve that problem. Alright, moving along. A matching receiver. The Technics. This one is the, I believe I got the 5170. Yep, the 5170. Got a little operating instruction book for that too. And there's also the 5170K, which from what I saw, instead of a silver brushed aluminum, it's black, and it's also black all around. It doesn't have the wood cabinet that these do, but I like the wood cabinet. It matches with the wood cabinet that the whole stereo's in, and the wood that the speakers are in. So it's just wood. So, oh, and another difference is I noticed on the back, there isn't one of those DIN or DIN cable plugs to hook the tape deck in, which I wish it would have, because then I could use the actual tape deck things as separate aux jack things for like plug an iPod or something into, so that'd be kind of neat, but didn't, so it doesn't. But this thing is pretty rockin'. You can see it's tuned into the FM, and the needle's going right up and down, and FM stereo lights lit up, so you can like hear the radio really good. Da la la. Yep, there's like 2 seconds of sound. Hopefully that's good. And there's some CDs down there. So that concludes everything that's in there. And I guess pull back and discuss the whole cabinet itself. So Oh, and let's see. Yeah, that tape deck I picked up on shopgoodwill.com for like $40, and then like another 30 to ship it. And this receiver, I've seen them on eBay for like around $250, so pretty good, and it's pretty rocking. Sounds really good. So yeah. The cabinet. There was a retired couple who was selling their house, and they had to fit like 5,000 square feet of stuff into a 1,400 square foot, probably, I don't know, retirement townhouse type thing. And so they were getting rid of this, picked it up for like $30, and they threw in some bonus stuff with it too. So that's cool. And yeah, that concludes this stereo presentation. We'll take a quick 2-second break, and then I'll show you another stereo that I kind of got going on that's also vintage, not as vintagey as this one, but still vintage nonetheless. All right, see you then, gang. All right, here we are for part 2. My second little vintage stereo that I got going on. It's the same Audio Technica turntable that I showed you the last time. I just put it on top here to kind of fill out the whole thing, which is a lot. So, it is powered by an Optimus STAV-84, I think. It's the Radio Shack brand that is actually a Pioneer VSX-562S. So yeah, it's pretty awesome. And I looked that up, and the only difference is the Optimus label that's been put on the front. It kicks all sorts of butt and just has tons of 90s buttons all over it for your simulated Dolby surround, your bass boost. Of course, you can't have a 90s receiver without the bass boost. What you got? Your Dolby, your couple of different kinds of Dolbys, simulated stereo, studio, just all sorts of things. And so yeah, you can play your CD player through it. You can even play an iPod Classic through it. Isn't that exciting? I have a black iPod, but it does not work anymore. It powers on, and it shows that it has like 80 gigs of music in it, but whenever you go and click on it, it says there's nothing on it. So that kind of sucks, because it would have been neat to have the black iPod with the black stereo. But you know what? Let's put black and white together and just make the world a better place and all get along. It applies to people, and it should apply to stereo equipment as well. Yeah. Let's see, I've actually got that, since I've got everything on the back hooked into its various components. Since this does not have a laser disc hooked up to it. Jeez, dude, can you talk any more mumbly? Since it does not have a laser disc hooked up to it, I plugged the iPod Classic into those RCA cables. So, since it's set on Laserdisc, you can hit the old play button. And hear some rock and roll music, whatever you're playing. I'm listening to the McGillicuddies, because they're friends of mine. Alright, so underneath that, we've got the Kenwood. I guess I should have written down what the number was on this. The DP-R4060, it looks like. And yeah, it's a multi-disc CD player. Works pretty amazing, so I like it. And I have not hooked up like actual, non-powered speakers through it right now, because I don't have any extra ones to do that with. So I just kind of rigged up a Logitech 530 surround system and plugged it into the headphone jacks, cause sometimes we're ghetto as fuck over here. But yeah, that was kind of a muddy recording that I had, because it was recorded from like a 7-incher and played through a really crappy turntable MP3 converter that like my ex-wife got me like 12 years ago, and you know, those things, at least back then, were not made by any proper stereo brands, so it was just some, I don't even know what the brand was, but it was nothing you'd ever heard of before. So the sound was like really low and kind of muffled, but if I could play some copyrighted music, I would, and you would hear just how kicking and rocking and reeling from the floor to the ceiling that little Logitech system sounds. But at least that's what I can do, because I'm sitting here listening to it all. So yeah, those are my two little vintage systems. One from the 70s, late 70s, and then this one from the mid 90s with a little bit of early 2000s thrown in. Talking about the iPod, because the Audio Technica turntable is still contemporary, and you can get one now. I think they retail for like $200, $250, something like that. But what I would really like to do, I mean, and this would be in the way off distance future, because that's a little out of the budget, would be to keep this turntable on this right here, and then on this one throw like a fluence turntable with like the wood plinth up on top, and so the wood could match with the wood. And yeah, I already said wood a bunch of times before. So all right, say goodbye, boys and girls. Bye, Vernon Vital Vinyl.